Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Miranda and I am the Enchantress of Avalon. So I wanted to start off today's video with an announcement, and that is that I have just this morning launched a page on my blog which is offering my services in tarot and oracle card reading. So if anyone is interested in purchasing a reading from me, you would just choose what kind of spread you would like and click on that, purchase it, and then email me with your name, your question, and within 48 hours I will go ahead and do your reading for you. I will film it and I will email you the video of me performing your reading and interpreting it for you. And then of course you can email me back with any further questions on it. But I really hope that some people are interested in this and would like to purchase a reading from me at what I consider quite affordable prices. So I do have over 8 years of experience reading tarot and oracle for myself and for my loved ones, and I'm really excited to offer it to my blog readers and my viewers here on YouTube. So I will link that page down in the description box below. And without further ado, let's get on to today's subject. So today's subject is going to be talking about sacred objects and places and animals to the goddess Morgana le Fay. So obviously Morgana is a great goddess figure who has roots in really ancient Celtic folklore, at least I believe she does. There's a lot of debate over whether she is more of a literary deity who is really rooted in just Arthurian lore, or if she has more ancient origins. I personally feel she has a lot of ancient origins, so I consider her an ancient great goddess that then was adapted into Arthurian literature, because even her first appearance in Arthurian literature shows her as a goddess figure, a healing goddess on the Isle of Avalon, where Arthur was brought to her to be healed and hopefully one day become the future king. That is, of course, in Geoffrey of Monmouth's Vita Merlini. And she kept all of her magical powers throughout. Even in The Green Knight, or Sir Gawain in The Green Knight, she is referred to as the goddess Morgan. So we have this association with her as a goddess running in her literature well into the the high Middle Ages. So to me, that really does mark her as a great goddess figure and shows that she has much earlier origins, and that Morgana or Morgan le Fay is just her most recent name, if by recent we consider 1500 years. So, what is sacred to Morgan? I feel like I should start with the most obvious sacred thing to Morgan, and that is the Isle of Avalon itself. Avalon is this sacred healing isle. It is a fairy land. It's magical, mystical energy. It's the Isle of Apples, where orchards produce magical apples and fruits in abundance without any need of cultivation. The entire isle runs without any need of cultivation. It just grows in abundance. It is an isle where people are said to live incredibly long lives. If you're a human living on that isle, you will live hundreds of years. But it's also an isle of the dead. So some of the spirits there are ancestral spirits. They are dead humans who are given eternal life in this otherworldly plane of Avalon. And Morgan is the primary goddess of Avalon, but she's also the paramount sister, the head sister of a ninefold sisterhood, who all have these amazing magical abilities and healing abilities. They're gifted in mathematics, astronomy, herbalism, healing, and shape-shifting. Just to name a few. There's so many other things they could do, but just to name a few. And Morgan is said to be the most intelligent, the most talented, and the most beautiful of the 9 sisters. She is the most powerful. She is the epicenter that the other 8 sort of orbit around. And it's this beautiful image, right? And Avalon brings me to other things that are sacred to her. Apples are her sacred fruit because that is the Isle of Apples. So she's highly associated with apples. They are excellent offerings to Morgana, and having apple imagery is automatically going to evoke a Morgana essence there. She is, and it also brings me to the sacredness of the Fay folk to her. She is a queen of the fairies and a fairy herself, as well as being a goddess. So all sorts of Fay folk are in some way, shape, or form sacred to her. She governs over the Fay of Avalon. She governs over this fairy energy and decimates this fairy magic to the world. So that leads to her having this association as this fairy queen. All fairy queens, I feel that all fairy queens have the Fay beings themselves as sacred to them. And Avalon, the last thing that Avalon gives us is the sacredness of crows and ravens. Because in Geoffrey of Monmouth's Vita Merlini, the first reference we ever get to Morgan, she is said to be able to transform herself and fly on strange wings like Daedalus. And these wings are crow's wings. She can transform into a crow or a raven at will. She is a raven goddess in this way. Just like Odin has his 2 ravens, Hugin and Munin, thought and memory, she has ravens and crows as sacred to her. They are her most sacred animal. They're the animal we associate with her most often. Although some people will argue wolves could also be associated with her. And I get that. But I actually think she has more of this cunning, sly, trickster energy that we would associate with a fox. And I would say white foxes. That is just personal gnosis. I associate them with her, but there's really nothing but my own personal opinion to ground that nature. I think the wolves are associated with her due to pack mentality and due to her association with the moon. And of course, wolves and werewolves associated with the moon. The other animal we know is associated with her, though, besides crows, dragons. Dragons are associated with Morgana le Fay because dragons are a national animal of Wales. They are so associated and integral to Wales. A red dragon still appears on the Welsh flag to this day. It is considered land of the red dragon. And that draconian energy is certainly something that Morgana herself possesses. She is a fairy, so dragons can be considered a type of fey animal to begin with. And that's why we have this whole idea of dragon fey. And Morgana certainly would fit into that pattern. She has a lot of rulership over water, but she also has a fire element association. And that fire element association combined with her watery associations, being the mistress of a sacred island, those two things together are very draconian. And of course, her brother, at least in later myths, he's named her brother, is Arthur himself. Arthur, who is the Pendragon. Literally, his name has dragon in it. He is the dragon, and that draconian energy is very associated with Arthur. So through her connections to Arthur and Merlin, and through their earlier Welsh origins, we have that dragon association for Morgan. And just a side note, Arthur's also very associated with bears, as his name is derived from the word for bear. Arturius or Arturos means bear. Just wanted to note that. Whenever I see imagery of Morgan and there's a bear, I see the Arthur symbology in that. So I just wanted to note that. So I also mentioned already the moon cycle, moon being very sacred to Morgana. And this is partially through her association with water as well. Water and the moon are intimately linked. The moon controls the tides, just as it controls the cycles in a woman's reproductive life. It also controls the tides of the water and the tides of ocean. So her watery association, though, isn't just living on this island and having a connection to the moon. It is also the fact that her name in Welsh is derived from the word that means, well, I should say it means waterborne. And one of many meanings, obviously, but it is associated with the water. And there are a species of Welsh water fairies known as Morgans or Mary Morgans. So the name itself is very watery in nature. And I already mentioned shapeshifting being a sacred art that she is able to perform. And I'm just glancing at my notes here. And finally, I'm going to go into her colors and then times of year. So sacred colors to Morgan, the ones that I always associate with her, are purples, blues, and silvers. And these are, again, very watery colors, very associated with the moon and lunar energy. And also in the case of purple, I associate purple as being the ultimate color of fairy queens or fairy royalty in general, because purple is a royal color and it just evokes this very regal energy, but also this watery, intrinsic, natural energy. And I would also, I don't have it listed, but I've also add in here greens because she is a fairy. So you have that fairy association with the color green. Now, sacred times of year. Because Morgana is a fairy queen and a goddess of witches, as well as all the other things I've discussed in this video, her sacred times correspond with times on the wheel of the year. So obviously everyone would think, well, Samhain, Halloween. Of course that's sacred to her. It's sacred to all witchy goddesses. And in her underworld death aspect and as this midwife of death, as people are dying and she's helping them pass through the veil into the other world, that is very much her Samhain energy, and that is that time of year. But she is equally associated with midsummer due to it being a fairy festival, and Beltane is the opposite point in the calendar to Samhain, and it is this fire festival of sexual energy and abundance. And it very much invokes imagery of like sacred sexual exploits that feel very Morgana in nature. And it feels like she would bless all of this happening. And even if we look at The Mists of Avalon, the book and the film, it depicts Morgan as participating in a Beltane fertility ritual, which ends up in the conception of Mordred with Arthur, although she doesn't know it's with Arthur. It's a whole thing in the book and in the movie. But it doesn't state that this is Beltane, but those of us who know our festivals of the Wheel of the Year can see that this is clearly Beltane rites. And then the other two times I'm going to mention are the equinoxes. The vernal equinox, which is coming up very soon. It's March 20th, I believe this year is the official date, but it's celebrated anywhere from the 20th to the 22nd on any given year. And if you're uncertain where it is on the given year and you don't have time to look it up, the 21st is always a happy medium to celebrate. And these equinoxes are time of equal energies, and I associate Morgan even more so with the autumn equinox. But the equinox to Samhain and the equinox until Beltane are times of the witchy energy and the fairy energy, making them potent Morgana times. Anyway, this video is coming to a close now because I've said everything I need to say, and I really do hope you've enjoyed. If you have, please like, comment, subscribe, check out my blog, whiteroseofavalon.life, and consider supporting me by purchasing a tarot or oracle card reading from me. Have a fantastic Fairy Friday, everyone. Bye now.